Costas and Dan O'Dowd. Here are the standings in the AL West. The Mariners are on top. Again, we had all those Malays clubs. Mariners were one of them. They've snapped out of it. Rangers a game back. Defending World Series champion Astros a game back. All right, Dan, Mariners have won 11 of 12. Texas has lost 9 of 10. Where are you on the Rangers, who seemingly had jumped out and were there to stay? Like, it was long enough where it's like, okay, not flukish, not just an explosion, not just driving in runners in scoring position. I thought they looked pretty good. What happened?
I think they just hit a speed bump, BK. I mean, if you really look at these clubs in the aggregate, they are so close in so many different areas. I mean, the Rangers bullpen has not been good. It has not been good all year. It really is not even good since they made the acquisitions. They've come back. When you're struggling as a club, you got to win the games you're supposed to win. They have not done that.
You know what's strange is they made deals for Scherzer, right? Montgomery. They both pitched well. Chapman's ERA is good. Stratton's ERA is good, but they're just, it's kind of almost like the Padres, they're just failing enough to lose these games.
But the rest of the guys they still had there haven't really performed that well. But I still think they'll turn it around too. I think these are 3 of the better teams in the game. I think the Mariners just now playing up to the way they should have been playing really all year long. I think it's the best young rotation there is in the game. Whether their innings catch up to them at some point in time, fatigue, we'll have to watch. But I mean, Julio, your small market, mid-market teams go the way their star players go, and this guy is just, he's lit up. The other point I want to make before I get Bob, we didn't give Jerry Dipoto enough love at the trading deadline. I mean, he made a great trade. He made 2 great trades at the trading deadline that kind of went under the radar, and I just want to make sure that I want to give a shout-out to him because Rojas and Canzona played good, and Thornton's pitched great for him out of the bullpen.
Right, no, that's the Seawald trade too, right?
Yeah, they traded their closer.
Go to the Diamondbacks, and that got a lot of heat because it's like, wait a second, the key to everything is your bullpen. You traded Kendall Graveman 2 years ago, now it's Seawald, and Seawald's been good for the Diamondbacks.
Well, you look at these 3 teams when we talk about them, it's possible all 3 show up in October.
Absolutely.
And the third wild card, or one of the others, is either the Rays or the Orioles. It could very well shape up that way. We mentioned this, I think, with you on Friday. The Rangers' batting average as a team with runners in scoring position was otherworldly.
Yeah.
That had to come back,
right.
And it has. And Marcus Semien hit a terrible slump for an extended period of time. But they're still a very good team on paper.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened. I know Carlos Pena on MLB Tonight last night pointed out over the last few years, there's even for championship teams, that you can hit this type of cut. It's just strange to see 9 out of 10 after they made so many successful moves seemingly at the deadline.
Yeah, obviously they're all in. They were all in the offseason. Right. They're all in here. And sometimes, especially in a small sample, it doesn't immediately pay dividends.
I do think it's going to come down between Toronto and them. I do think the Astros and the Mariners are a better team overall, the way they're constructed. So I think that last playoff is going to be a battle between the Blue Jays, and the Rangers.
And when you talk about the Astros, remember, the championship pedigree, the addition of Verlander. They were without Alvarez for a while. Tucker's having a great season. Michael Brantley might come back and give them then 3 left-handed hitters to balance that lineup. It's still, you can't sleep on them.
No question. This is to get back to our theme this year.
There's a theme.
There was a major theme here. Please pay attention, class. If you take the malaise teams, where it was an inexplicable malaise, where it's like you're not quite sick, but you don't feel so good, right? You're not playing well. And it was Mets, Padres, White Sox, Cardinals, Mariners, Guardians, teams that not only made the playoffs last year, except for the White Sox, who were 81 and 81, but then a kind of an inexplicable underperformance with the Mets and Padres, huge infusion of cash as well. Number 1 payroll of all time, number 3 payroll. And the only club, Dan, give me if you have some philosophy on this, the only club to snap out of it, Seattle. Why were they able to snap out of it where Mets, Padres, everybody else was unable to?
I think they were just a well-constructed team compared to everybody else on that roster. Even the Guardians at the end, I didn't think any of us felt going into their offense. We didn't know where they're going to get their offense from. That's turned out to actually be the case. I just feel like the Mariners underachieved all year long. Their offense struggled. Their best players struggled. And all of a sudden, they didn't panic. They made a really good trade at the deadline, and I think just everything came together. And this is a team that last year, really went into Houston And if that first game changed a little,
Oh yeah, it was closer than you think.
yeah,
right.
they,
I agree
who
with you.
knows what kind of run they could have made on through the end of the season. So I just think they were they're younger. Their starting rotation was just better than everybody else on that list.
And they lost the third game, 1-0 in 18 innings. They're really the team that gave the Astros the best fight.
And they, this
at
year
least within
too.
the American League.
And
until the
they've
World
dominated
Series.
the Astros this year throughout the course of their matchups.
Yeah, usually though the season then becomes it's not a thing until it's a thing, and even like for the Cardinals, like eventually they just like could not dig out of that hole that they
Yeah,
dug
their
for
starting
themselves.
pitching never really was built to be able to do that. I think that was a bigger hole than any of us realized with that team going into the year.
Right,
And you know what they have said? Ali Marmol has told me this. Look, the analytics told us that the shifts helped us. Our middle infielders, now they got Wynn coming up, and they have high hopes for him at shortstop. But DeYoung and some of the others, when you had to go back to the regular positioning, you don't have a strikeout staff, lots of balls in play, and their infielders couldn't get to those balls. And that's just one of many factors for the Cardinals to fall off the way they did. The Guardians, though, I understand that they're in an unusual circumstance. Their offense is not that great. They trade Aaron Savali to the Rays, but you're in the American League Central.
Talk about the Mariners,
You
guys.
got knocked out last year. You still have a shot. What does that tell your fans? Especially, how many more years do you have Terry Francona? Are you just going to say we're going to make a run for it as best we can, given our limited resources? But we are in the American League Central.
Yeah, I'm surprised by what the Guardians did. We're going to bring that up in the showdown with you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're back in. Statcast is powered by Google Cloud.
I ought to read the format.
We've
shouldn't
got
I?
yeah. Right now, Dan is like the only all-star on this panel. Dan, you're the guy. You're shining through.
Yeah, squirrel finds a nut, everyone.
Until we get to think baseball. We get to think baseball, then the colors will show up. Lowest ex-Woba by starting pitching staff. Twins are #1 race, then the Mariners. So, like, the class of that rotation
And keep
shows.
in mind, the Mariners have lost Robbie Ray and Marcos Gonzalez from that rotation, and still look where they are.
Ex-Woba is the quality of the contact. Bob's big on that. Bob,
huge.
What did you say? A rather esoteric statistic.
Yes, but I still knew what it was.
You did. We asked you to use it. You did. I just like the way you described it. Like it's from space. An
Kinda
ex-Woba
is.
landing in
Kinda is.